I'm going to start with something that I think is a little different, but that's not why I want to start with it. I start with it because I think it could have a monumental effect on the midterm elections. So let's start at the beginning. The Census Bureau blundered in 2000. It blundered in 2000. As the Hill pointed out, at the risk of overusing a phrase, the 2024 presidential election may be the most important, perhaps the closest in history. That's what they wrote. But last week's Census Bureau announcement of serious errors will impact the next decade's congressional apportionment and delegations. Given the nature of the mistakes, Democrats could hang on to the presidency under particularly controversial circumstances. Well, they didn't. But the point is that the allocation of congressional seats by the Census Bureau was laden with errors that helped the Democrats. Got that? So Donald Trump, without question, won a bigger electoral college victory than was counted because of the Census Bureau mistakes. But even more than that, look how close the House of Representatives is. It can be close, but it shouldn't be that close because the census made these errors. What am I talking about? The Census Bureau has acknowledged that 14 states had significant miscounts in the 2020 census. 14 states had significant miscounts. See if you notice a pattern here. Among the overcounted states, overcounted. Hawaii, Democrat. Delaware, Democrat. Rhode Island, Democrat. Minnesota, Democrat. New York, Democrat. Massachusetts, Democrat. 5 of these 6 voted for Joe Biden in that year's presidential election. The undercounted states, see if you can see this. Texas, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, Illinois. 5 of these 6 states are Republican. The ability for any agency to accurately count each person in a nation of 330 million is, of course, a challenge. But it's difficult to understand how the Census Bureau missed more than 5% of the populations of Arkansas, Delaware, and Hawaii. The changes will impact national politics in a dramatic fashion. They point out the 2020 census led to significant changes to congressional seats apportioned to states. Texas gained 2 congressional seats, while North Carolina, Florida, Montana, Colorado, and Oregon gained 1. New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and California each lost 1 seat in Congress. There was significant surprise that population growth winners such as Texas and Florida did not gain more seats. With the possible exception of Illinois not losing a seat, the likely effects of an accurate count would have overwhelmingly aided red states. Simply put, the revised figures show that mostly red states had even quicker relative population growth compared to the rest of the country, and especially compared to mostly blue states. It's possible that undercounted states could have gained at least 1 seat in Congress, while overcounted states may have lost 1 seat. But the errors resulted in each 600,000 overcounted residents in New York and a similar amount undercounted in Texas. Last year, media coverage lamented that New York lost a member of Congress by being 89 residents short. With the revised accurate numbers, New York would have lost a 2nd seat had the corrected numbers been available earlier. Considering Republicans need to flip just 5 seats to retake Congress, each misplaced seat is crucial. So the bottom line is what the census did in its so-called errors, it cost the Republicans 5 seats. 5. You ever hear of anything like this? You ever hear of anything like this? Now let's go to Texas, because things are happening there. With that overlay, with that background, okay? This is from PJ Media, Rick Moran. The Democrats' hypocritical objections to Texas GOP redistricting plan. He says nothing brings out political hypocrisy more than a good old-fashioned gerrymander brawl. Both sides do it. Both pretend that it's absolutely the worst thing in the history of the world until they want to do the same thing. Now, there's a Texas-sized hullabaloo brewing in the Lone Star State that promises to not only be gigantically impactful politically, but entertaining. Last month, President Trump suggested it would be really nice if Texas redrew its congressional districts, give the Republicans in Washington a better shot at holding the House of Representatives in 2026 midterm elections. Texas Governor Greg Abbott politely obliged and scheduled a special session of the Texas legislature to get that done. Now, that session's going to end on August 19th, a Wednesday. Texas Republicans will unveil a sparkling new congressional map that could give them as many as 5 more seats in Congress. The U.S. Constitution mandates that maps be redrawn every decade. There's nothing in the document that says districts cannot be redrawn at any time. It's highly unusual, yes, but it's hardly unprecedented. Texas pulled the same gambit in 2003. That year, legendary lawmaker Tom DeLay funded an effort to take advantage of the Texas Republicans' first majority in a century to redraw district lines. They cracked coalition districts along racial lines, diluting suburban Democrats and packing minorities into safe Democratic urban seats. Now, that's the way the Hill put it, which, of course, is very partisan. That 2003 effort saw the Democrats employ a partisan quorum break. When 50 Democrats headed for the hills and left the state, they denied the Republicans a quorum to do any business. Remember that? Including approving the new map. Enraged Republicans passed a new law making it a crime punishable by a fine of $500 a day and arrest for intentionally avoiding a quorum. Now, this may upset many of you, but this is the way local and state politics are supposed to work, really, and have worked for over 200 years. Now, Texas Democrats are already fundraising like crazy to get enough money to pay their fines and fight arrests at the time. That's what they did. 2 people involved in the latest Democratic fundraising strategy sessions were granted anonymity. Representative Jasmine Crockett, a Dallas Democrat who was part of the 2021 quorum break, sees a path to circumvent the campaign financial rules, and it goes on. Efforts to stop the practice only result in hypocritical politicians from one party decrying the gerrymandering efforts of another. Democratic governors in New York and California, Illinois are all promising to hold their own gerrymandering parties if Texas goes through with its plan to redraw its maps. These Democratic governors have a big problem. Their huge majorities in the legislature for the last few decades have already gerrymandered their state's congressional districts about as far as they can go. Practically speaking, they'd have a hard time squeezing any more seats out of another gerrymander. Democrats who are complaining about fairness or tradition might want to examine their party's history redrawing district lines. They'll see that neither party holds them up on virtue when it comes to fiddling with district lines again. You notice radical leftist judges are doing everything they can to hamstring President Trump's agenda to make America great again, and we'll see what these judges do in this case, but they're proceeding. They could flip as many as 5 seats. The census, you can see how corrupt that was. And, of course, the blue states have already done their damage in throwing out as many Republicans and Republican seats as possible. There are people like Chris Sununu who are warning, don't do this, you won't like it. The problem, Chris, is they've already done it. That's the problem. And these people don't play fair. They're not playing by rules. So if they don't play fair and they don't play by rules, then what Governor Abbott and the Republicans in Texas are doing is exactly what needs to be done to them. Then if they want to have some kind of negotiation, fine, but not before. They will do anything to take the midterms and destroy Trump and his presidency. Well, now we need to do anything to make sure that doesn't happen.